Okay, here's an update on this garage door restoration. It's been several weeks since I put the caulk underneath um, the framing there, the casings. And when I first put it in, it was more or less flush, but it was in such a thick quantity that it shrunk and it pulled back. So it looks like it's made a good bond to the concrete, like it said it would. So I'm pretty happy with that. Because of the cold weather, it did take quite a bit of time for it to cure, and the cure time, the full cure time on that, whatever it was called, was like 7 to 14 days, and it said do not apply it if there is any rain or freezing within the full cure time, which in my case is totally unrealistic because it's going to rain. And what happens is when this is so close to the ground, when it rains, it kicks up all sorts of stuff. And this I have actually painted over because this caulk is paintable. And even the thing about the caulk is it takes weeks to cure, and it will, dirt will stick to it that entire time, and it will come out and it just looks awful, muddy. But painting over it, the paint cures, dries in a couple of hours, and even in a couple of hours on a windy day you'll get dirt on it, and you can see that there, but that's going to be fun. Now another thing that I did was I had caulked the that section between the panel and this rail, and I painted over that because a couple of reasons. One is the caulk is white, but it doesn't exactly match. And the second thing is the same as here. The caulk takes weeks to cure, and it's somewhat sticky for a long period of time. And it just picks up dust and what have you, and that you get a discolored band, particularly if it rains within a couple of days after you put it on. Now the paint covers that, and the paint will dry within a couple of hours. So if it rains tomorrow, probably it'll be fine. It won't stick to it. In other words, it'll get dirty because whenever it rains, you'll get dirt, but it won't get embedded and hardened, dried into it. Okay. So the idea on the caulk is you want to paint after you've caulked. Another thing I did with this door was I noticed that when I put on the original gasket, I cut it because it comes in a kit and you have to cut it to length, and I didn't get the length quite right. Okay, so I just reused it because I didn't want to buy a new kit. But what I did was I just had a little piece of, I just put some foam on there with some construction adhesive. The idea is to just cover that little gap at the end, and because of the way that goes, I can actually go to the full width of the door, even beyond where that will be, which you cannot do with this. With this sticks out onto the apron so that it can only go up to where you hit that framing piece. So the idea is to prevent a mouse from getting in there. I wish they could get in. And so I'm just trying to seal that up. It should make it, you won't get as much wind and rain and what have you in there. I don't know if that particular foam is going to hold up. If not, I'll have to find something else. Another thing that I've been doing on this project is replacing some of the pulleys. On that particular door that I was just looking at, one of the pulleys, because of lack of lubrication over the years, one of the pulleys had really gotten worn, too much clearance in this middle piece. And what that means is that piece can actually get caught at an angle, and it becomes very difficult to turn. And so I tried just lubricating it, but it would not solve the problem. I did order on Amazon a replacement pulley, and I couldn't be 100% sure on how the fit was going to be. It seems fine. The center hole is just slightly bigger on the other one, but that's not a critical measurement. as long as it's the bolt that holds this will fit through here. And there's no turning taking place between that bolt and the center. The turning takes place with all those ball bearings. So it's non-critical, and once it's tightened, there's no issue, okay? Now, the kit came with a pack of 2, so I'm going to replace this one over here also, because this one also has a pulley that is not in good shape. It's not as terrible as the other one, but if you look at that, you'll see how it's crooked. Now, it's only way that can be crooked is because there's too much play, and that wheel is actually rubbing when it turns against part of the metal, okay? And there's too much friction there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release this. Now that the tension's off the spring, I'm simply going to unclip that, loosen that bolt. It pops right off, and then I pop on the new one. It's not difficult. I'll hit pause and I'll show you. Okay, I took off this pulley. I did have a little trouble because I had to hold both the nut and the bolt because otherwise they both just spun. So I did have to wrangle it a bit with one person, but I did get it. And you can see here that this one also has a significant play. It was wobbling, and I did try greasing it up. Actually, it doesn't seem to have a lot of grease on it, so looks like this one I didn't really grease it. I might have been able to get away with this one just by greasing it, but it was rough, and I do have this extra one here from the kit, so I'm just going to put this one on. I'm just putting it on the same way, in the same order of the bolts and what have you that it came off at, and then when I bolt it in, then I will reassemble it. Okay, I bolted on the new pulley. I had to use 2 wrenches also to get it on because the nut was tight on the bolt. Now I'm going to take the cable and put it over the top, but I'll have to pause. Okay, I just needed 2 hands to reach up. Now I have to pull on the cable end back there where it's hanging and pull it up and then loop it onto here with the door up so the tension is off the door. Okay, I got the cable on the hook. I didn't have to get on a ladder, but you might have to. Now, the door works much more smoothly. You wouldn't necessarily know it. This one wasn't terrible anyway, but what I noticed was on this one, and whenever I lifted it, I would always put my other hand on another part of the door to lift up on it because of the toughness. Now when it's properly balanced, you should be able to do it with one hand. And the tension can be adjusted on the springs. If as necessary to make it easier, either in the up or the down, depending on which one you're having trouble with. A little trouble. Sometimes it's a little harder to put it down, or sometimes a little harder to pull it up. But the tension on those are adjustable. Okay, so anyway, that's the update for right now. I should say also I did caulk the gaps. There were some gaps in the boards, and I caulked all those. I didn't paint over them. I might wait till the spring. I did caulk on this one spot here because I had wrought on this board, and it seemed as though it might have been getting in on this particular spot with the weather stripping if there was a lot of rain coming down and then running underneath, but So I didn't do that on all the spots where there was an overlap on the flashing, but just this particular one because there was a problem. And you can see I just put that on a short time ago. It's still not cured. So anyway, that's pretty much a wrap on this project. And now I just need to paint the side of the house. Okay, thanks.